Now, what's really cool, and this is a brand new feature that was just added, is the ability to back test this. Now, normally to back test a strategy, and if you don't know what back testing is, it's basically simulating how this thing would have done historically, right? So this thing is buying TQQQ on its 200-day moving average. How would that have worked over the past couple of years? Right? Well, we could learn that by back testing. This is kind of a good way to figure out, is this a good strategy or not? If the back test comes back really good, that's an indication that this could be a very good strategy. It doesn't always mean it's a good strategy, but a lot of times it's a good indication of that. If the back test comes back bad, well, then you know this thing probably sucks, right? Like if you can, it's like there's like gates you want to go through, right? You want to first write your strategy, make sure you get a good back test. Once you have a good back test, you want to run it for a while with fake money. And once that's good, then you want to run it with real money. That's kind of the gates that we take strategies through. Okay. So the first gate is we want to do the back test. So let's click on back test strategy. And again, there's a brand new interface here. This is really cool. This actually, you used to have to do this manually, right? You'd have to like move this code over and run the code, whatever. Now it's all built in. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick a date range. I'm going to go back. I want to go back all the way to 2011 personally. Go back to January 1st, 2011. And the reason why I want to do that is because, first of all, it covers all these different historical periods. You can see here, it even tells us in 2011, there's a debt ceiling crisis, 2015, China crisis, 2018, there's a correction, there's a COVID-19 in 2020, and then 2021 and 22, there's a bear market, right? So it kind of tells us we cover all those time periods, which is really good. So we could test this over all those different situations. But then also, I want to go back to 2011 specifically because that's when TQQQ comes out. I believe it comes out 2010, somewhere around there. So I want to go all the way back to 2011 to get as much time as I can to backtest. All right, so now that I've set that up, quite simple. We set the date range. If you want to set environment variables, you can do that as well. That's more advanced. I would usually just ignore that. You don't really need to do that unless you're like backtesting options or something like that. And in which case you'd add a variable for options backtesting, for example, you'd have to add a Polygon API key. You could type it in here. I'm not going to do that. That's more advanced. If you guys want to do that, you can go ahead. There's also other things like you can work with AI, for example. You can put in a Perplexity API key and work with Perplexity to get like latest news data and stuff like that. So it's actually really cool. But we'll leave that alone for now. That's more advanced. And I set up my date range. The end date is today, or actually on Friday, I believe, which is perfect, right? Because we want to do weekdays. And then I'm just going to hit run backtest. Okay. So I hit run backtest, and you basically see this thing running here, right? We see it basically going through deploying. There's a little countdown timer here, or again, count up timer, because you don't know when this thing's going to finish exactly, right? It's going to finish. Usually this, it depends on kind of what you backtest. I found that this can take anywhere between, 1 to 3 minutes, sometimes, a little longer, depending on what you're backtesting. If you're backtesting something pretty complex, like option strategies, that could take, upwards of a couple minutes, whereas something like this could be much faster.